Tonight's tape takes us to the fragile line between destiny and reality, a place where a simple knock on the door can unravel the future itself. What would you do if someone claimed to be your son, not from your home, but from your tomorrow? Settle in, dim the lights, and listen closely. Some warnings don't come from strangers. Some warnings come from the life you haven't lived yet. This is Evan Blackwood, and this is Whispers and Sin.
Andrew Parker wasn't expecting visitors at 11 at night. Much less urgent, rapid knocks on the door. No doorbell, no warning. Startled, he got up from the couch. His wife was working the night shift at the hospital that evening. Andrew walked nervously towards the front door. Had something happened to her? He wondered. When he finally opened it, he found a young man, gaunt, dirty-faced, with eyes like sleepless abysses. "Dad," the stranger whispered, "I need to talk to you. There's no time." Andrew felt the world freeze for a second. "Dad? Who are you? Please, you have to believe what I'm gonna tell you. Please, it's important. I'm your son from the future, and you're about to die." "Are you crazy? What are you talking about? How am I supposed to be your father? I only have one child, and he's just a year old. Is this a joke? Do you think it's funny to pull this kind of prank at this hour?" "Tomorrow," the young man continued, "you're gonna be killed by someone you know. A man named Daniel Keller." Andrew almost shut the door, but something in the young man's eyes, real panic, real desperation, held him still. Andrew froze. And how did this boy know Daniel Keller, his co-worker? Daniel was a normal guy, quiet, someone Andrew even liked. The idea that he was a murderer was ridiculous, and more ridiculous that he'd have any reason to kill him. "Look, that's enough," Andrew said. "It's not absurd," the young man shouted, holding the door. "You have to kill him before he kills you. It's the only way to break the cycle." Andrew crossed his arms. "If you're from the future, prove it. Show me proofs." The young man pulled an ID from his pocket. Timmy Parker, age 20. Andrew felt his stomach drop. He looked back toward the living room. There was the crib with his 1-year-old son, little Timmy Parker. Andrew took a deep breath. There had to be a logical explanation. This couldn't be real. The boy had to be a farsant. You're saying Daniel Keller is going to kill me tomorrow? Yes, and you must kill him before he does. It's the only way to break the cycle. The only way I could ever know you. Dad, you don't know how hard it was growing up without you. Andrew's mind was a storm. I don't believe you. This is impossible. This must be a prank. Proof. I want more proof you're from the future. The young man took out a small object. Andrew recognized it instantly. An old dented metal star-shaped pendant he had bought just 3 days ago in a second-hand shop, planning to give it to his son when he was older. It was still in a drawer. I always wore it, the young man said. You promised I'd take care of it. Andrew took it, trembling. It was identical. Even the dent was in the same place. I have to go, the young man whispered, glancing fearfully toward the street. They're looking for me. Please, Dad, do it. Don't let them kill you. And he ran off into the night. Andrew didn't sleep at all. The coincidence of the name, the pendant, the fear in the young man's voice, the idea that his future son could have come to save him was absurd. But just as absurd was the idea that some lunatic would know his baby's name and have an identical pendant. The next morning, he didn't go to work. He spent hours staring at his son's crib, wondering whether that fragile baby would one day come back 19 years later to save his life, or if the young man was in fact a dangerous psychopath obsessed with him and his family. By dusk, he went to look for Daniel at work. He found him in his parking spot. Andrew, shaking, felt paranoia devouring him from the inside. When he got close, Daniel pulled something from his pocket. Terrified, fueled by a primitive, irrational fear, Andrew did what he thought meant survival. He pulled out a small revolver and shot him in the chest. The sound of the gunshot and the twisted shock on Daniel's face left Andrew frozen. Daniel Keller was now dead, lying in a pool of blood on the asphalt. Terrified, Andrew ran out of the parking lot. That night, he didn't speak to his wife. He kept trying to convince himself he had acted in self-defense. Daniel was going to kill him. He must have had a weapon in his pocket. Why didn't I check out he was taken out? Andrew regretted. If I had checked, at least I'd be sure. What if it wasn't a weapon? Andrew didn't eat dinner. He just stared at his smiling baby in the crib. In the background, the TV announced breaking news. He barely listened until a headline jolted him back to reality. Breaking news. A highly dangerous psychiatric patient has escaped accused of assault and homicide. His name, Timmy Parker, 20 years old. Andrew felt his heart stop. Timmy Parker. The same name as his newborn son. The same name that young men had given him the night before. What a coincidence! This guy has the same name as our son, his wife muttered. Then the TV showed the fugitive's mugshot. Andrew leaned forward. The air left his lungs. The face of the madman looked too similar. Not identical, but close enough that a father could see an adult version of his baby. A disturbing similarity. Painful. Real? Andrew collapsed to the floor as his wife watched in shock. What had he done? Had he killed an innocent man deceived by a psychopath who knew too much? Or had his son from the future truly saved him? Had he broken a cycle or created one? In the crib, his baby slept peacefully, innocent, unaware, but Andrew could no longer look at him without hearing the young man's voice at the door. And that night, and every night after, Andrew lived with the crushing certainty that he would never know the truth. Or maybe he would. It was only a matter of time.
If this story left you looking over your shoulder, you're not alone. Thank you for sharing your time